Thank you, and welcome to Next Week in Wolfeboro. This is the Next Week set here, so we've co-opted this for the show tonight, the Wolfeboro Exchange. Thank you for joining us. Really important topic tonight to discuss, and I think we kind of hit this earlier on in the year with the simulation of what potentially could be a roundabout and roundabouts in Wolfeboro and everything Wolfeboro with what's going on with the DOT. And tonight we have Brian Deshays, selectman from Wolfeboro, here in the house. And Brian, it's great to have you. I really appreciate you coming in. This is such an important topic for Wolfeboro because literally it's going to be if it goes through, it's going to be a major project. And people need to be informed. I think we've done a pretty good job, and I think the selectmen have been talking about it a lot at meetings, but I think there's still a lot of people out there that really don't know what's going on. So really thank you for coming and discussing this with us, and let's just hit the ground. And you got a lot of information to go over, but and I'm going to ask you some questions and we can go back and forth. So it'll be a good show, and the voters get a chance to see it and learn more about what we're going to potentially do here in town.
So thank you for having me, Luke, and it's nice being beside you again, just like when we were both board members.
Yeah, no kicking me though.
Yeah. So I'm going to try and make this as pleasant as possible, but there's a lot of information to go through. So let's just get right into it. In 2010 to 2017, there was a steering committee in the town of Wolfeboro. They were deciding how we were going to build the Route 28 corridor with the state. Let's clear something up. The state is not telling us how we're going to build the corridor and how we're going to build the intersections. What the state is doing is taking input from us. Jason Ayotte, who's been running the project, has told me from the beginning that his group is a public relations group first and a construction group second. So he said that we want to do it the way the town of Wolfeboro wants it to be. So what that means is that the people in charge, our select board, our highway department, and our town manager should be listening to the people in town and presenting to the state what the people want. This is my goal with this project. I'm going to start by saying I am not for roundabouts. I'm not against roundabouts. I'm not for building it the way it is. I'm not against it. What I want is for people to have the correct information.
I think that's good too. I think what you should just briefly too, because some people say, this has already started. And I think people need to know that we have 3 independent projects that are currently potentially going to happen here in Wolfeboro. We had the water project, which just got wrapped up for the season. There'll be some road corrections and stuff in the spring to correct those, the unevenness of the road going forward. But that has been largely done. Then there's the sewer project, which may or may not happen next year, maybe the year after.
It's being held off for a year.
But these are 3 independent projects just because people see stuff going on.
4 projects, because then we got to do
pavement.
No, we got to do water, sewer, then drainage in downtown. So
Correct.
There's 2 more years in downtown, and then we have this whole South Main rebuild.
Okay.
So now we'll go back. The steering committee was from 2010 to 2017. That was the first committee formed. They made a recommendation to the state, and the state made an agreement with them that this is what was going to happen. And these are meeting minutes from that time. So I'll read them as quick as I can. The project history was that Jason Ayotte, who's been the engineer on this project from the beginning, said that we were going to take, and he outlined the scope and work for the plan. And he said the project proposes to address poor pavement conditions, remove the existing concrete slab, upgrade the existing drainage, provide stormwater treatment, provide safer accommodations for pedestrians and bicycles. Pedestrians go on sidewalks, bicycles go on bike lanes. And then improve safety at intersections. And he said that the roadway with sidewalks again, from Pickering Corner to Pleasant Valley Road, that was the first thing. The second thing was unsignaled intersections, no lights. Yep. They were not going to have lights. The 28 southbound left turn lane onto McManus Road was talked about. Safety lighting improvements to uncontrolled pedestrian crosses. Well, we have one of those now. We have the flashing beacon for Brewster. safety improvements at the golf course, speed reduction. So this is all the stuff that they talked about in the last meeting of the steering committee.
Which is 2010?
Which was 2017.
17, okay.
And they brought this to the new committee, which was called the the Project Advisory Committee, and this was their kickoff meeting. During their kickoff meeting, after he told them this information that the steering committee was what the steering committee had already agreed on doing, all of a sudden, this new committee came up with an idea and asked, what about roundabouts? What might they cost compared to unsignaled intersections? The DOT did not estimate the roundabouts for initial scoping. However, the DOT would complete estimates for any new proposals and alternatives. So, where did roundabouts come from? They came from a committee that was formed in 2019 that was on it Paul O'Brien, current select board member, Linda Murray, current select board member, Jim Pinio was our new town manager at the time. I think he was interim at the time. Then a couple of individuals from Brewster, someone from the Kingswood Golf Course, someone from Lakes Region Planning, Roger Murray as a citizen at large, Cindy Melanson, and Kathy Barnard. So they're the ones that came forth with the idea of a roundabout. This is what I want people to understand. This was not the state saying, hey, we want roundabouts. So now we go to the next time there was a meeting. Mary DeVries was there, Cindy Melanson was there, Roger Murray, Bob Tuffer, Linda Murray again, Kathy Bernard, James Pinio. Some of the same people, but not all of the same people. So now they're discussing this again. And what happens? David Ford said, the project is underfunded and the town is considering appropriating funds to assist in completing the corridor study vision. Therefore, the project timeline will need to consider the town's capital improvement program requirements and schedule.
So David Ford was the former public works director for the town of Wolfeboro, probably 20 years.
Correct.
Yep.
So he was the one that said that the money wasn't there. The state had said from the beginning they were spending $10 million. The project initially was supposed to go from the Alton line to Pickering Corner. It was shrunk down to the corner at Western Auto Body to Pickering Corner. Why? Because time went by and they found out things were going to be more expensive. Then it was moved up to Pleasant Valley Road to Pickering Corner. That's where we are. We hope we'll have enough money to make it to Pickering Corner as we're building it now. So that's about all until we get to Jason Ayotte speaking at this second meeting and saying the purpose and need statements summarize the problem statements, the vision created by the 2018 Corridor Study Steering Committee. We're going back to the steering committee again. He said that they needed a statement, a need statement was developed for the 10-year projection plan. So what were they talking about again at that point? They were talking about that the purpose of the project is to improve New Hampshire Route 28 from Pleasant Valley Road up to Pickering Corner. So look at how it shrunk from 2010 to 2021. We are now all the way up to Pickering Corner. To Pleasant Valley Road. No major improvements have been made to Route 28 since the 1930s. As a result, the pavement is deteriorating and they needed to get rid of the concrete slabs. So there's the concrete slabs again. Then he talks about drainage. The existing drainage system and flat grading creates maintenance and water concerns, so we're going to do drainage. So that's the second time.
So the concrete slab, because there's some X amount. Downtown Wolfeboro has like 14 inches of like asphalt.
Yep.
And then there's concrete underneath that.
Yep.
So the original road in Wolfeboro that was done probably in the 30s, I guess.
Correct.
Was all concrete.
Yep. That's why when you drive over it after it's been paved a few years, it sounds like feels like a train and sounds like a train.
So they would remove all that concrete.
That's all going away. And then it says mobility. The existing pavement width 24 feet is creating conflicts between cars, bicyclists, and pedestrians. It is not wide enough to accommodate the demand for multiple modes of transportation in this corridor. New Hampshire Route 28 is a transportation plan. Well, they identified with the regional, state, pedestrian, and bicycle transportation plans. The bicyclist stress and pedestrian conflicts were identified at the corridor study public information meetings. So again, the state is saying we are taking care of sidewalks and bicycle lanes.
Okay.
Okay, safety. The existing condition.
Why is that important? Because we've
all
heard this before. So
Yeah,
I want
yeah.
people out there don't really understand why you're saying that. Though.
What happened was in a meeting in 2024, it was brought to our attention that the state was paying for these things. But when I first became a board member in 21, there was a narrative that we weren't paying for them.
Was the white lines in?
It was the white line to white line, which was created by David Ford when he said that we needed more money for it, and by other board members that had been on these committees and had been with this project the entire time. So then it says alternative consideration and rating criteria. So Jason Ayard, again, the guy who's been running this whole thing, said that what we want to do is we want to in addition to transportation modes, intersection capacities and operations, property impacts, historic and cultural calming, lights and utilities, operations and maintenance, parking, loading areas, pedestrian crossings and visibility, and costs that the new group had come to us with, the PAC group, they decided that they wanted to look into safety, cost, and other things. And Linda Murray noted that she wanted a village feel. It said, Linda Murray noted the steering committee created different cross sections and would be beneficial to review together. The design team started creating cross sections, and David Ford added the town wanted to assist with tree inventory and whatnot. Pickering Corner explained this. The steering committee spent considerable energy in designs, impacts, and concerns at Pickering Corner, and they had decided in advance that what they wanted was utilize the efforts from the town and David Ford shared. The design team decided that they would investigate compact roundabouts when they had already decided, originally the state, that they wanted to build the road as in place. So again, it shows that it comes back to it was the town of Wolfeboro who was asking the state for roundabouts. It was not the
state
forcing roundabouts.
Because that is a perception that
correct
that the public has, because they see these roundabouts, they see them happening all over the place.
Yep.
The one in Ossipee obviously was
necessary.
Happened because of
Yep.
There were serious issues. There was a serious car accident years ago, and that kind of was the last hoop to jump through necessarily for that roundabout.
Yep.
But in this case, what we're learning is that this has really come from 10 years plus of these committees that have met.
Correct. And the first committee, the steering committee, had already made a decision with the state, and the state said that their plan for the project was to rebuild the intersections as is, and then build the corridor with drainage, rip out the slabs, drainage, sidewalks, curbing, and bicycle lanes.
So regardless, basically what you're trying to say is, I think some people have the fear if we say no to the roundabout, that nothing will get done. And the fact of the matter is they're going to rebuild the road.
Yeah, and no matter how we do the intersections, the road in between is being rebuilt the same exact way. And it's going to be good. We're not taking down all the trees. We're not widening it to an extreme.
Yep.
It's going to be a nice, still village roadway into the town. It's a state corridor, but they're letting us keep it as pleasant looking as we can. If anybody's been to Meredith in the last 15 or 20 years, I used to go there when I was a little kid all the time. They now have 4 lanes wide, 2 sets of lights, a roundabout up the road, major intersections. It's kind of lost its charm. And I understand they did that to try and alleviate traffic, but if you go there, there's still a lot of traffic. It still backs up quite a bit. It's just the way it is. When you put too many people...
And we're going to still have traffic.
Correct.
Because that's an important... We brought it up in the last show. DOT has said that
Correct.
even with the roundabout, you know, when we have the summer influx of people, we are going to still have traffic. There's still going to be traffic.
Yeah, and I was going to mention that later, but they have said no matter what we do at the Pickering Corner intersection, the traffic during peak traffic times will be the same. They've said it will not change, which is an important thing. So now I have to go to the third set of meetings, and the same people are there. Roger Murray, Linda Murray, Dave Senegal, another select board member, Kathy Barnard, Peter Gilligan from Brewster Academy, Mary DeVries from the Chamber of Commerce. And what was discussed at this meeting that was important, that's why I'm not going through everything, Dave McNamara, not Dave Ford, Dave McNamara, who's from the state, said that Pleasant Valley Road, this intersection does not meet current geometry standards and poses a safety risk to motorists and pedestrians. So he gave us options again. He gave us a do nothing alternative, to leave it the way it is. Mm-hmm. Then he gave us a full-size roundabout at Pleasant Valley Road, a compact roundabout, creating a T intersection instead. Mm-hmm. And then there was a discussion also about a left turn pocket to South Main Street and a cul-de-sac. Okay? Well, here's an issue. Right now, we are being told that it's going to be a T intersection from the state. But we had a do nothing alternative.
So a T intersection it would be literally a three-way, it would be a four-way stop?
Pleasant Valley will come out and stop with 28.
Okay.
And you'll go right or left.
You go right or left?
Yeah, you won't yield in as you come up Pleasant Valley Road. So, again, people are saying the state is telling us we have to have a T intersection. Well, Luke's smart. He was a selectman. He understands this stuff. You were on the planning board, weren't you?
Zoning board.
Oh, the zoning board. Do nothing alternative, right?
That's what it says there.
That's what it says.
Yeah.
So now we have a T realignment. Yeah. So where did this come from? Didn't come from the state shoving it down our throats. It came from this project advisory committee determining. Now Linda Murray is saying that we don't need a T intersection there. She wants it to stay the way it is.
Okay.
So why did they even propose it in the first place?
So bear in mind, you're naming people on this list, but that's more of just context. To
Correct.
Who was at the meeting?
Yeah, who was at the meeting? So this last meeting, again, it was Peter Gilligan, Susan Harrington, they're both from Brewster, Roger Murray, a citizen at large, Bob Levy, a citizen at large, David Lynch from the Kingwood Golf Course, he's been there several times, Sean Chamberlain, he was a different representative from Lakes Region Planning, Linda Murray, and Kathy Barnard. So Paul O'Brien was at some of them, and Dave Senegal was at some of them.
Sure.
But not because boards change. Paul left the board, and Dave was there, so we took up the place. So on this meeting, and this meeting was, I should have said all the dates, but the last one was in June 30th of 2022. This one was August 11th, 2022. And what they said was, Pleasant Valley Road, Route 28, the general consensus from the previous meeting was that limited work was necessary here, creating a T intersection was favored. Whoa! Now they're saying that the state is saying we have to have a T intersection, but who said that?
Dave McNamara.
Dave McNamara, by using the information from the Project Advisory Committee, which was Wolfeboro citizens, Board of Selectmen members, and town manager. Oh no, Jim Pinio was not at that meeting. We won't get him involved. So then David McNamara, not David Ford, David McNamara from the state said, then he presented a discussion about Pickering Corner and alternatives that have been developed and reviewed. His presentation of Pickering Corner included reviewing of existing conditions, potential design constraints, and the history of previous discussions. He noted that the town study considered 5 alternatives, including enhanced striping, signaled intersections. Wait, we already had ruled those out. Mini roundabout, that had already been ruled out for a compact roundabout. And I don't understand why they're coming back. Then David Ford noted the compact roundabout may be the best solution. So now we have our town DPW, who has now said that we don't have enough money and asking or saying that the best solution could be a compact roundabout, and Linda Murray felt more comfortable with a compact roundabout. So now we have the people on the committee focusing towards roundabouts. They were the ones that brought to the state the idea and the question, should we have roundabouts? And that's where we end up with roundabouts being on a warrant article now. So, with that said, we have warrant articles that were written.
Mm-hmm.
And the warrant articles were written because I felt a necessity that the town should vote on this. That the town should be able to know what kind of roadway they were going to have coming up from Pleasant Valley Road. They're going to live here. They're going to drive it every day.
Mm-hmm.
They should want it. We should know what it should look like. So we decided that we were going to write some warrant articles. Linda asked all the board to contribute.
Mm-hmm.
Her and I came up with several ideas, and they were brought to a select board meeting. Is there any way you can put them?
Yeah, so we're going to show you the slides here. Tim's going to work his magic here in the back room.
Yeah.
We're going to bring up the warrant article slides, correct?
Yeah, those first, and then we can talk and look at pictures.
Yeah, so we have those down here. You'll see those.
Okay.
We're going to bring them up on the screen here
Okay.
for you. And Brian can talk over them, so we can go ahead
Okay.
for the first one.
So this is the intersection of Route 28 and Pickering Corner. That's up by the gas stations in Brewster Field. And the warrant article, as written, says the roadway from Pleasant Valley Road to Pickering Corner, Brewster Field, will be constructed identically regardless of how the intersections are built. Okay. And it says, is your first choice for Route 28 and Route 109 intersection a compact roundabout? It says trucks and buses would be able to traverse the center of the roundabout if necessary. 2 parking spaces will be lost. The war memorial will be moved, and 2 trees beside the memorial will be cut down. If you want that, you vote yes. If you don't, no. Is your first choice for the intersection of Route 28 and 109 to be constructed in its current configuration, which we are calling a minimum build? That's what the state says. Minimum build doesn't mean it's going to be small. It means that it's going to be built as is in its current configuration with a better marking of lanes. Still 2 parking spots will be lost, but the war memorial and trees will not be removed. Now, I find that there's a couple of things that are important. In my opinion, on that warrant article, at the top where it says, and I lost my warrant article, it says that during peak traffic, it says that the roadway from Pleasant Valley Road to Pickering Corner Road, Brewster Field, will be constructed identically regardless of how the intersections are built. I've asked the other Board of Selectmen, and they've said no, to include during peak traffic times, neither choice will alleviate traffic congestion. I think that's an important piece that people should know so that they don't assume that one or the other is going to cause more traffic or less traffic.
Neither one's going to fix the ultimate
Correct.
situation,
Yeah.
which is we have a lot of people here in the summertime.
And yeah, and then the second portion, which is A, that says, it says trucks and buses would be able to traverse the center of the roundabout if necessary. That is a statement that is not really correct. I sent some information to Jason Ayotte, the engineer for the project, and asked him, I said, how would you word it to explain that trucks and buses are not only able to go through, but will need to go through? And Jason Ayotte, the engineer from DOT, said, Either way, the vehicles identified below will need to traverse and utilize the truck apron and drive through the compact roundabout. And he listed off vehicles that will have to go through a portion of the center of that roundabout. They have no choice. They can't fit. And it was large trucks with trailers, emergency vehicles, fire engines, meaning, large buses, box/chip trucks. I thought I made up that name when I said to him, a chip truck, and I was like, well, you know, the trucks that deliver Frito-Lays and Doritos. He goes, no, that's what the state calls them. And I'm like, oh, excellent.
FedEx truck, yeah.
And he said, and large plow trucks would need to traverse a center portion of the roundabout.
Correct.
I think that needs to be in this warrant article so that people understand that, no, it's not trucks will be able to go through a portion of it. There are certain vehicles that will need to, and needing to is much different than able to.
Yeah, I think, you know, Scott Ducharme came to your last selectmen's meeting. He got up and spoke, and he spoke about that. You know, he drives an 6-wheeler with pulling a big trailer with a excavator on the back a lot of times, and he would be going right through the middle of that. Same with our brand new ladder truck would be going, you know, pretty much straight over the inner circle of that thing to get, you know, if it's going straight into Wolfeboro, it's going to be going straight through that intersection.
What's the biggest ones we have that go through there?
I mean, we have the big snowplow trucks. They're going to get to lift their wing.
The logging trucks.
We have logging trucks.
The logging trucks are huge.
28's a major quarter. And, you know, just
School buses?
before I forget, you know, Scott brought up another good thing, you know, good comment, you know. Unfortunately, we've got a lot of bad drivers up here, but, you know, just because you have a circle doesn't mean congestion's is gonna be, when congestion in downtown backs up to the circle, you know, you could potentially have people, you know, stopping in the middle of the circle and not allowing people to come up and use the circle that are coming up, and that's an issue.
Yeah.
You know,
and Linda made an oopsie at one of the meetings. She said that she believed slip lanes would be in the roundabout, and a slip lane means that, like right now, when you come up 28, you can go right, or you can go straight across and take a left when you come up 28 from the Irving gas station. So that's called a slip lane on the right, because you don't, as long as the traffic isn't backed way up, you can slip past the right-hand side and you can go off. So Linda thought that the slip lanes were still going to exist when the roundabout was in place. That's not what's going to really happen. The roundabout has one lane into it and one lane out of it at the 3 locations. That's it. There will be no slip lanes.
Yeah, do you want to bring that this picture of the?
Oh yeah, we can bring those up and we can talk about those.
Because that's going to make a big difference too. Because, you know, for me, you know, and even when the traffic backs up a little bit, that sidewalk coming up the hill there is really low, anyways. So I can skirt that, get one wheel up, and cut around the corner store.
You don't drive on the sidewalk.
And then I get out, especially in the early morning when you're waiting for all those buses to go up the hill. You can sneak by them, get up, and go around. But that's going to be that. You know, the what she's talking about is like, you have the new circle in Rochester. When you're coming into Rochester, they have a lane which is if you're coming from Rochester back towards Farmington, there's actually a lane with like a hump that you can actually avoid the whole circle, which is kind of mind-blowing because it actually, like, you eliminated the circle for the traffic, so you can kind of jump this hump and go, but they actually built it in. I think that's what she means by a slip lane. Yeah. But people will need to actually wait coming up the hill to get into that rotation so they can go left or right.
Yeah, and so here are a couple of pictures on the screen, and one shows the minimum build, and one shows the compact roundabout. And you can see that on the compact roundabout, there's only 3 entrances to the roundabout, which is kind of strange because most roundabouts have 4 or 5 or more. And what they're calling the minimum build is the rebuild of the intersection, but what they will do is widen the lanes slightly. They will paint the lanes better. They'll be better marked, and they'll try and make it a little bit easier to go through. Regardless of which one we use, we're going to lose 2 parking spots, but the minimum build doesn't cut into Brewster Field, so we don't have to lose those 2 additional trees and the monument. And again, I'm not going to stick my neck out and say, which one do I want? I want the citizens to understand the difference, though. I want them to understand that they can have what they have now, or they can have a compact roundabout. It's their idea to vote on it. The other thing that I wanted to say was,
How's that how's it going to affect the two gas stations? Because I mean, maybe the graphic is a little bit off, but when it comes to the corner store there,
originally they said it was going to harm the gas stations. Now they're saying that it won't be a detriment to the gas stations, and that's going to be for each person to look at and
because
determine.
both of those
themselves.
places have very limited parking as it is. And to have, we have 3 gas stations in downtown, call it the downtown corridor, Irving, the corner store, and Three Sisters gas station. And obviously with 7-Eleven out on 28, but those gas stations are important to the
The way I
community.
look at it, there could be. I mean, supposedly it's going to be safer or easier to get in and out. And let's not go there.
Yeah.
Brad Harriman has been saying over and over again that roundabouts are safer. According to Captain Livy from our police captain, there has never been a serious injury on a bike, pedestrian, or automobile at Pickering Corner. He said in his 20 years, he's never had a serious accident there where somebody was severely hurt. So, and with if building it the way it is now, they're going to put better crossings for pedestrians, and they're going to try and make it even safer than it is now. With the compact roundabout, if I'm coming from down at the Irving and I'm coming up 28 and I want to get to corner store, it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to get to Three Sisters, I now have to go all the way around the rotary once. That's more difficult than now.
It is too, because people aren't going to expect you, because they're going to see you, and they're not going to expect you to be going all the way around either.
Yeah,
that's just the perception.
And then if you're going to go to Three Sisters, and you're coming from downtown, well, what are you going to do now?
You're going to go around the roundabout.
You're going to go all the way around the roundabout a whole time before you can.
Yeah, because and even the corner store, correct?
Yeah.
You won't be, because there is some kind of abutment there drawn in, so
Yeah.
there won't be a left turn into that parking lot. And I don't know how people come out of that corner store or come out of the Three Sisters either. If they're going to somehow, because if you pulled out of the corner store, hypothetically you'd be pulling into the rotary.
Yeah.
Or just north of the rotary if you went out of the north side of the corner store. But still, that would put you in a situation where you'd be entering a rotary from another spot, not from the road. You'd be entering the rotary again.
So again,
there's a lot to think about.
will they both work? People will figure it out.
Of course they will, but there's also the fact that it is, it's going to alter the way Wolfeboro looks to some degree. If we went with the roundabout, the monument's going to move. There's going to be, and you know how it is. Well, there's a lot of angst when it comes to any kind of change, good or bad.
So I asked what I thought was a silly question of Jason Ayotte. When he said to me, all these large trucks and buses and stuff will have to drive through kind of a center of the roundabout, I said, what about our big plow trucks that we use? And he said, they're going to have to go through this, partially through the center of the roundabout. So I said, what about your plow trucks? State uses some big plow trucks, he goes. And he actually said to me, I'm going to have to double check with Nancy Spalding at District 3, which is in Guilford, which is the part of the DOT that does our plowing. And she's the maintenance engineer there. And she said that what would happen would be the current larger trucks would plow snow through the roundabout, and then the smaller plow would come and F550 with a plow to get the rest of the snow out from the edges. So that means when there's a snowstorm, the roundabout turns into a T intersection.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're going to figure it out. I mean, I think it is what it is, but they're going to figure it out.
So that is something that we'll have to consider, because if they don't get both trucks there at the same time, for a period of time when the big truck goes through, you've lost your roundabout.
Yeah, you're going to go back,
You go back to it being a T intersection, which is just something unusual that and I've had people argue, both sides with me and said, well, we like roundabouts, it slows down the traffic, it makes things easier, to get around and stuff like that. Most of the time when there's a lot of traffic there, how fast are the people going?
0, because they're stopping.
Yes.
Well, one lane
Yeah.
stopping. You can, the thing, the two concerns I have is, you have people that are heading south,
Yep.
and there's a car turning onto Center Street, onto 28, okay? There's enough room right now where you can get by them, you know what
There's
I mean?
a slip lane on the right.
There's a slip lane. That's going to be eliminated
Correct.
in that circle, so that you're going to have traffic waiting, going south, waiting. You're going to have traffic coming up the hill waiting. You're going to,
And we know that sometimes it backs up to the hospital.
and you're not going to have a slip lane. Will there be a slip lane?
Nope.
By the Three Sisters?
No.
So there won't be a slip lane there either. Not that
There's
there,
no- there's
there
no-
really isn't a slip lane there now. I mean, there's a little bit of one when
Yeah.
you get really close, but
Yeah.
ultimately, so you're going to have traffic basically coming to a complete stop and merging into this roundabout in order to go whatever direction they're going to.
Yeah. And so why the state has said,
what's going to end up happening? You're going to put stress on other roads. We already have stress on Pine Street because of the morning traffic.
Yep.
People will use Pine Street to race the school buses.
Yep.
Get up there, and you already have a lot of traffic on Laner Street because of the morning commute. People will use Laner to get around the traffic as well. So I think you're going to see stress on those other streets when it comes to this type of thing. But like you were saying, it's a big. People at least need to be informed about it. I keep telling people, because people keep saying to me,
Yep.
there's no way that Wolfeboro is going to have a roundabout. What you're saying, you're just saying that. Well, these are decisions that are being made,
yeah, and so people.
and they've been being made for almost a decade.
Yep, and again, I'm not pushing one project or the other, and I want people to understand though that a roundabout is not a magic solution. That we're going to have traffic regardless. June, July, August, and when buses get out, we're still going to have traffic in Wolfeboro. It's not going away, and that's okay. You have to slow down. You have to wait. You let someone go in front of you. You take your turn, and it all works out. There is another meeting coming, and I should have written it down. The state DOT is coming back, and they're giving another presentation on this project. You may be able to find it online for me. And the reason they're coming back is because I told, talking to Jason Ayotte, I said that it's still very confusing for people. And the last meeting that we had, there was a presentation. People did public input first, and then there was a presentation after the fact, and then people couldn't ask more questions about it. So Jason Ayotte has agreed to come for a nighttime meeting and to take and give the presentation again. And now we only have two solutions. We have narrowed it down. Because signalized intersections were never really in the equation the first time, those are out of the picture.
Yeah, so this meeting is going to happen on, the intent of this meeting is to present the project's design progress as well as explain the roundabout and minimum build intersections. It's February 20th, which is a Thursday. It's at the Great Hall, which is 84 South Main Street here in Wolfeboro. And it'll be at, doors open at 5:30. There'll be some viewing of materials that are much like we showed you tonight, but there'll be diagrams of the intersections, proposed intersections, and the different options. 6 p.m. the presentation, followed by a select board meeting, and at 7 p.m. is question and answer. If that meeting is postponed due to weather, it'll be on Thursday, March 6th. Same time and place, Great Hall.
So this will be a good way for people to come and see what we've whittled down to. And I feel bad for some citizens. I know there were some citizens that talked to me that wanted streetlights. And I understand. The state didn't really have those in the picture from the beginning because they thought that 3 large towers of lights at Pickering Corner would really cause a visual impact on the town. So that the state kind of had those off the table from the beginning. There was another section, another option it's called enhanced striping. And they thought that that would be a possible solution. That solution came up again from the project advisory committee. And what it was is that you widen the road by taking away parking spots in front of the church, the pavilion, the Pickering House, the beginning of the Carpenter School, and on the other direction on South Main also. So what you end up doing is you end up losing 11 parking spots in order to utilize the curb-to-curb width of the road.
Sure.
And we kind of eliminated that one because we know how our parking spots are. And when the kids are getting out at school, those parking spots are all used. At night, when the Pickering House and the Pavilion have their...
But how long has traffic been an issue in Wolfeboro, Brian?
Traffic and parking have been an issue in Wolfeboro since the late 1800s. I
Yes.
actually looked back at meeting minutes one time, and one of the meetings they said people got up and complained that there were too many horses and carriages parked in downtown and not enough room for everybody else to park their horses and carriages.
That's right. See, that is a first world issue right there. Even back in the late 1800s.
And the issue is that the roadways were built, like all in New England, when it was a farm community. There were very little buildings around, and livestock probably watered in the lake and then went back up to feed on 28 towards North Wolfeboro. So we can't replan it. We're not going to knock down Wolfeboro Center and move the whole intersection. So we have to just do what we can, the best we can, within the parameters of what we have and what the people like and want to see. And let the people decide. And if there are any questions, please contact me. Call
We're going to
me.
give out Brian's personal phone number here, which is very helpful for people in the public.
Yeah.
You can call this day or night, right?
Day or night.
Okay.
Anytime. I sleep from midnight till 6 in the morning.
I call it all the time. Sometimes I call it, hang up.
Yeah.
Just you feel free to.
Yeah.
Brian's great. We've had a good relationship, good working relationship for 5-6 years now. And he really does, I got to give it to him when I was on the board. He really does. He's really interested in this. He really, when it came to the Libby Museum and a lot of other issues, he really dug into it. And I got to give him credit for that because a lot of people say they're going to do things. We were talking about this earlier. Like, a lot of people say they're going to do stuff and they don't do it. And, you may not like the outcome sometimes that people give you, but at least someone's actually trying. So I give him credit for all those things. He really digs into stuff. He's caring. He's well-meaning when it comes to this stuff. You may not always agree with him. I mean, on bike trails, we're going to disagree. But, that's what this is about. It's about a conversation. It's also about getting information out to the people so that they can make an informed decision. It's a big issue. It's probably one of the bigger issues that we're going to be seeing over the, public safety building was a big issue. This is going to change the way Wolfeboro potentially...
It's a $10 million project, and let's make sure people understand, this is not costing Wolfeboro anything. We are getting $10 million from the state. This is not costing us anything. The only thing that we may have to pay is the cost to move some telephone poles while the construction happens, but there's enough money in our enterprise fund, which is an enterprise fund is a fund that's set up as we pay for our electricity every week or every month. There's a little portion of that money that goes aside, and we have the lowest electric rates in the state. That little portion of money goes so that when we have a project like this, we don't have to ask the taxpayers for more money. That it's built into that, so we will use that savings that we already have to move the telephone poles a little bit during the project, and that will be it. There will be no cost coming out of the taxpayers' dollars for this. We will get sidewalks, we will get bike lanes, and we can get the intersections built however people like. And again, I will say I apologize for people that wanted the enhanced striping alternative or street lights. We had to narrow it down to the two that were the most viable for our town. And it was a hard decision, and the board worked with the state on this and citizen input to get us to this point. Now it's up to the citizens.
Well, that's why you get paid the big money. I mean, you're making tough decisions. You know, ultimately, the Board of Selectmen has to make the choice.
Yeah.
But, at least it's going to a vote. It's going to, at least they're going to get the input from the voters and say, this is how the voters spoke. They either do want a roundabout or they don't, in two different locations. So it's, there's that. So, I mean, that's...
Can we just pop up McManus Road really quick?
Yeah, I think Tim can get that up there.
Yeah. Because McManus Road, we've kind of concentrated on the Brewster Field, Pickering Corner intersection, but I also wanted to talk a little bit about the McManus Road. So, again, the warrant article says the roadway from Pleasant Valley Road to Pickering Corner Road, Brewster Field, will be constructed identically regardless of how the intersections are built. I still think we need to include, during peak traffic times, neither choice will alleviate the traffic congestion. When the kids are coming out of school and the buses are going in, we're gonna have traffic. There's no way you can't.
Well, the police
have it.
stop the traffic, so
Yeah.
I mean, the traffic's going to happen.
Correct. Well, with a rotary, are the police going to stop traffic going in and out of a rotary? I don't
Probably,
know.
yeah,
I have no idea.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to speculate on that. And then it's going to say, is your first choice for the intersection at Route 28 and McManus Canapache Roads, the high school arts center entrance, that's the intersection we're talking about, a compact roundabout? And then again, it says trucks and buses will be able to traverse the center of the roundabout if necessary. Again, that's not really the truest statement. The truest statement is large trucks with trailers, emergency vehicles, fire engines, large buses, box and chip trucks will need to traverse a center portion of the roundabout. We need to get that wording corrected. I'm hoping it's corrected at the deliberative session. Then it says, is your first choice of the intersection at Route 28 in McManus Canapache Roads, the high school art center entrance, to be constructed in its current configuration, which is a minimum build, better marking of lanes and whatnot. Again, I have a question on whether or not we should put the changing of the intersection from one to a new type, or do we put first on the warrant article that we're going to construct it as is, or then the second choice is we're going to build it as a roundabout? What's your take, Luke?
I'm just looking at this again. I haven't taken a position on this formally, but when it comes to this, I think things should stay the same as they are up there. Personally.
Well, I'm not even talking about that. I'm looking at the way the warrant article is worded.
The wording for warrant articles has always been an issue for.
It's difficult.
I would say the last 10 years, and even beyond. I think people have a difficult time when they go into the ballot box with a lot of these, and I'm not even talking about zoning or planning, because some of those warrant articles are very, very difficult for the citizens to navigate. Even when you bring a piece of paper, you get the Granite State News, great newspaper by the way, get the Granite State News, you do your cheat sheet, of all the different warrant articles. It's difficult because the wording's difficult sometimes, and it doesn't give, sometimes you don't get the exact intent. If you put everything in there that you possibly could, it may make it too wordy.
Correct.
I think people need to understand, because there like we just talked about earlier.
Read it fully.
There's different types of roundabouts. Okay.
Yep.
So make sure you're understanding what Brian's actually talking about. That would be a great opportunity to go to the presentation with DOT, see the actual drawing. Go online, go to the New Hampshire DOT website. It's under presentations. We type in Wolfeboro. You can see the simulation. You can see these drawings. You can see the other proposed drawings over the course of time to get a real feel for what it actually would look like. And then the simulation is what it is, okay? It's based on a traffic pattern and stuff like that. Who knows how that actually works in the scheme of things.
So with the warrant article, I say this. You're married, right?
Yes.
And you go out to dinner time to time or something
Yes.
like this. And I usually say to my wife, hon, am I okay like this, or do I need to change?
And she says you're fine.
So should our warrant article say, this is the way we are, do we need to change and have a roundabout? Why was it determined, and I didn't have a say in this, why was it determined which would come first? Do we ask the voters if they want a roundabout first, or do they want it the way it is? Or do we ask them, do you want it the way it is, or do you want it to be changed to a roundabout?
I mean,
I don't know. This is something.
there's semantics in everything and how
Correct.
it's written, of course.
But words matter.
Well, of course words matter, but there's semantics and
Yeah.
things. And, maybe, if that was an issue, maybe what I would say is half the ballot's got to be written, half the ballot's got to be one way and half the ballot's got to be the other way, and swap it like they do, for who gets the top position and when
Yeah.
you're running for office, something like that.
Yeah.
But there's been many warrant articles that have been written over the course of even just my time in there that were very confusing and
Correct.
not normally, there's going to be, the warrant article submitted for the,
Ambulance?
well, no, for the police commission thing again.
Yep.
I guess there's some language that may not do what the intent of the warrant article is.
Yep.
So they're going to probably try to change that at deliberative session. So a deliberative session is also a very important opportunity for people to learn more about these things too. And sometimes
make changes to
and
this.
sometimes things get changed at deliberative session, and that's an important thing for people to know, because that's ultimately what comes out of deliberative session is what you're going to be voting on in March, not just what the warrant articles say now. So things could get changed at the session. They can only be changed. How can they be changed? Only the substance. The substance has to remain the same.
Correct.
They can be zeroed out if they're financial
Yeah,
ones.
yeah, they added money to the road maintenance last year. So you can change a dollar amount.
You can't zero it out, though, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can go to $1.
You can go to $1.
Yeah. So you can add or remove money from it, and you can change verbiage of it as long as it doesn't change the intent of the warrant article.
So on these warrant articles and on many other ones that are not financial, the board is not taking a position on these
Correct.
ones, right? So the ones that are not financial, the board's the same thing this year. They're not taking any position, a vote on any of these.
So my whole thing is I want people to understand. Let's sum it up as quick as I
Sure.
can. The state is not driving the bus. They're not telling us what we have to do here.
Okay.
There's been two different committees that were created to determine this. The first committee made a decision with the state. We're going to build the intersections as is, and we're going to build this beautiful roadway
Sure.
with sidewalks and with bike lanes. And you're not paying anything for any of that. Somehow it got lost in translation that all of a sudden we were going to be paying for sidewalks and bike lanes. That's not the case. And then we got into the minutia with this second committee about, instead of having the intersections built the way they are, having potential for roundabouts, enhanced striping, or streetlights, when even the streetlights had been taken out of the equation in 2017. The state said they were going to build unsignaled intersections. But when one committee disbanded and another committee was formed, it was like they reinvented the wheel again, and they started changing what the proposals were from the first committee. COVID hit, and that slowed things down a little bit. The state wants to get this done because the longer it takes, the shorter the road gets.
The more money it costs, the
'Cause-
shorter it gets. Yep.
That's right. And Luke, I want to thank you for having me on,
Of
because
course.
you want to know something? We didn't always 100% agree on the board, but you have a heart of gold. You care about the town of Wolfeboro. You want what's best for the citizens. You always were like that when you were a board member. And I appreciated every day that you were there when I was on the board.
I appreciate that too. It's we had a good working relationship. The board in general, has a good working relationship, and that's why we were able to actually get things done. And it's never been, even when, we didn't get along on certain issues. It was never a stab in the back type thing. It was never.
Nope.
I was never Brutus. Stabbing you in the back. Yeah. If we had issues, we discussed it. And that's the. Just like this, there's going to be people for roundabouts, I guess, and there's going to be people against roundabouts. What an issue to get divided over.
Yep.
But that's the kind of world we live in now. So, but get out there, and I appreciate everything you said. Get out there, be informed. Call Brian if you have any more questions. His phone number we gave out, and he's also has an email address on the town website. You can get all that information from the town of Wolfeboro too on the town website, which is a great resource. They have links to the New Hampshire DOT project and all the different slides and
And I will tell people
simulations.
how to get on to the
Of
to that
course,
to that
yeah.
website if they want to see.
And we
things.
got that meeting coming up in February. So those that, we got time to get out there and learn more if you want to learn more about it. If you want to voice your opinion, your concerns, and then ultimately your vote, which will be in March at the town meeting. So get out there. Another great example of the Wolfeboro Exchange, and Tim has been now on the clock here for 1 hour and 8 minutes. We've been keeping him, and we can't do it without Wolfeboro Community TV. Wolfeboro Community TV is here to serve the people of Wolfeboro and beyond by bringing you content like this and other great content, whether it be town government meetings, zoning board, planning board, conservation committee, board of selectmen meetings, budget committee meetings. I don't know how he does it. Covers churches on the weekends, covers all kinds of community activities. And so Wolfeboro Community TV needs your support, considering sponsoring a show, getting out there, being engaged, and the people here at Wolfeboro Community TV are really a valuable resource for the town. It's how we get our information in Wolfeboro, so it's crucial that we give them our support. So thank you for Wolfeboro Community TV, and thanks for joining us on the Wolfeboro Exchange. We'll see you next week. Thank you.